Right. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Andy Rogers Podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by Mikey Campbell from SAMA award-winning band Dictator. Mikey, how are you, man?
What's happening, man? I'm good, thanks. Cheers for having me on. Buzzing, just the end of a working day. No one will be able to realise that, but it's 5 o'clock. I've literally just finished my work, back in, ready and raring to go.
Thanks, man. Right in after your work as well.
Aye,
Brilliant,
exactly. That's it. Priority.
Aye, so I thought just kick off straight away with the SAMAs. I was absolutely mad.
Aye.
Especially for yourself.
Aye. No, so the whole thing, man, it was mental. It was great. It was it's an amazing thing to even be included as part of. So when you first start, obviously we're in a band and stuff like that, and you never really think, all right, cool, let's go for some awards and stuff like that. Like you never really think about like accolades as such. And I know that's what everybody says, like, you know, oh yeah, we're not in it, but you didn't go like let's start a band to go and win an award. You start bands for other reasons. But when we kind of first heard, when they put it out that we were in the nominated like 4, we were like, what? Because honestly, like we had no idea. Like if I'm being honest about the kind of trajectory we thought we were on, I'd maybe put ourselves there maybe next year. Maybe next year, but like, yeah, I mean, I'd be like, right, because then that's where we kind of thought. So the fact that we were even nominated, we were like, wow, like that is absolutely nuts. And I think that kind of worked in our favour though, because so we didn't really see ourselves as equal to the other bands, because we're fans of the other bands. And so we were like, boys, if we want even a sniff at this, we're going to have to work our socks off to try and get the best, just give it the best go we can. You know what I mean? Like just see what we can do. And I think like that was our mentality, is like, even if we lose it, it's still a win to be nominated, but let's not give ourselves a chance, if you know what I mean. Like, let's not give ourselves a chance of saying, oh, I wish we'd done more. Let's just not regret it and just see how much we can do and stuff like that. And so for like the days that the thing was open, we got we messaged everybody. We had like our old schools, or like, you know what I mean, our mums and dads, they were getting their works, our work, everything. It was just, we were just leaving no stone unturned. Which again,
I know I stuck it in a couple of my group chats.
Aye.
I was like, thank you. Listen, these boys are local. We want them to do this, so it takes them on another trajectory.
Which was amazing, man, because like it was almost like people were buzzing for you and stuff, and like so we were like, listen, and it got to the end of it, and big credit to Zach, because Zach really gets in, like he loves that side of music. Zach really does love that side of music, right? We all kind of float around it and stuff like that. We are involved probably more so than a lot of bands, but because we want to be self-sufficient, but Zach really kind of thrives off it. So like, but honestly, there was a point we were just messaging people on Instagram, and like we all took turns as to what we were doing, how we were managing the socials and stuff like that. So we gave it a good go. The amount of people who kind of done it for us as well, and like honestly, you can't go around and thank everybody. Like you can't, like you see someone share it in a group chat and you're like, oh cheers, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like sitting in a Fives group chat, and then randomly at the blue somebody's like, go and vote this band, and I'm like, that's my band. You know what I mean? I'm like, just as I'm typing out a note to say, can you vote that? So it was amazing, man. Aye, and then obviously like the day of the SAMAs.
That Instagram story was brilliant, by the way.
Honestly, man, I was like,
I can't imagine the stress involved in that.
Well, see, the mad thing is, man, looking back, like it was obviously hell of a stressful, but it was just mental, because like I was just kind of well, for anybody who didn't see the Instagram story, I went to see a band in Liverpool the night before, so I went to see Glass Animals, and funnily enough, right, we'd had Glass Animals booked for months, and the tour manager we managed to get tickets to go and see them in Edinburgh, Shire Hall, on the Monday. Yeah. So like that wasn't even my first time seeing them. It was my second time seeing them that week. Aye, so we'd booked to go and see it and stuff like that. And but anyway, so we were like we went down, it was amazing. And then on the Saturday morning, obviously on the Friday, it was like Storm Arwen had came in, and it was really windy. Like we got to Liverpool, and I'm like, it's hella windy here. Like, is Liverpool like a windy city or that? Like, and then it was like, no, there's like a red warning. So like, I was like, But then the next day in morning, we went for brunch, and of course we went for brunch. We never went for breakfast, never went for lunch, we went for brunch, and we're sitting there like, it was like Southampton fans were travelling up to the Liverpool game, and they were like, there was a guy and he was like, oh, none of them can make it because all the trains are cancelled. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and our train was still running. And the guy was like, where are you going? We're like, oh, we're going back up to Edinburgh. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, no chance. And I was like, well, I kind of hate it because I've got like kind of a fairly big event happening the night. And he's like, nah, but our train was still running. As soon as he said that, he turned around, and I'm not joking, it was like a wee beep, and the thing just popped up saying train cancelled.
No.
And I was like, oh, this is like 10 o'clock in the morning, no enough to get to Glasgow for 7:30 start. So anyway, man, so then on in, it was like we went to the train station, and it was like just a ticker tape of like cancelled, delayed. And we got the last train out of like Liverpool that day to Wigan. And then like but Wigan train station, the train station's in the middle of nowhere, so it's a tiny wee thing. We had to try and get up towards like Carlisle. That was our main kind of goal, because I was like, even if we can't leave England, we can get to Carlisle. I mean, if we got to towards Carlisle, anywhere near there, we can get picked up because it's only an hour and a half. But it was absolutely brutal, man. We got stuck in Preston for like 2 or 3 hours.
It's lovely there.
No,
it's I've done a stop over there a couple of times.
Oh mate, honestly, so I was sitting there in Preston, and I was like, just get me out of here. And like they were all doing memes and stuff like that, getting stuck, and I was like, good one. And then like by in Preston, I was like, nah, yeah, get me out of here. But listen, man, it was what it was. I ended up getting a lift. My brother-in-law, Sean, came down. He basically came down in my car. And I also got a notification from my insurance company. I've got one of the black boxes for like a month. And I just because like half the insurance. It was one of those things. I was like, I'm not doing that. And then at half the insurance price compared to everybody else, and I went, a wee black box, you say? I was like, I'll stick that on. I got a notification for them saying, hi, you were not doing X miles per hour round a bend on that day. And I was like, pretty sure I wasn't. And I was like, oh, Sean rallied my car down to Carlisle. So, but he picked us up. Got back, and I got back home in West Lothian at 10:07. I had a quick shower because obviously I felt minging for just being in Preston, and I was just like, I'm going to shower, change and then dropped off like my brother-in-law and missus, and then I just pelted through to Glasgow. I got into St Luke's at like 7:31, and the thing started at 7:30, so I just made it. But anyway, man, like I was obviously getting there, but just. The actual event itself was amazing, and like they'd built it up massively. So I've got like a different mentality. I'm like, listen, because my thing is that if you can almost build the pressure you're selling it. So like they're like, oh well, we need to win this type of thing, and I was like, well, that's not a healthy way to really look at it. Because if you lose, then what? Do you just quit music? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're being realistic.
Because setting your expectations that high and you done it, there's a low after it, isn't there?
So I'm like, so listen, I was like, well, it's not even that. It's just that like that mentality of like, you must do something. It's like, well, that's fine. But if you can't, or you don't win something, what changes? Nothing changes. And likewise, if you win it, nothing changes. You still continue pressing on. If anything, it just shows you're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of way of thinking it. I was still nervous, but when I got to our award, Vic Galloway was reading it out, and they were so nervous. Joe, I don't know, he was kind of like a wee bit testy.
Joe's Joe, isn't he?
Aye, but Alan and Zach were like nervous, and they'll say like, "Oh no, it was a wee bit," like, but no, they were nervous. Like, and Zach was so nervous, and they announced it, and like I don't know if you've seen it or that, if you watched it, but
I've seen
it. The way that he announced it, he said, "And the winner is," and then they were up against a band called Swim School, but then instead of just saying the name, he goes, "The SAMA award-winning band," blah blah blah, right? And instead, it sounded like when he said this, we were like Swim School. Like it was just that instant like kind of Swim School, cool. And we love Swim School, it's good. But we were just like Swim School, cool. We gave it a good go. And he just went this, and then we were like and then he went this time award went back goes to, and then it was just Dictator. And mate, like kind of the best thing is they played Moonlight as our song for Coming and Killing.
Oh yes.
Bearing in mind it's best rock alternative. Just like that's the most rocky tune we've got. But we done it, man, and it was just a blur. I was burst, and like I went up and shook Vic Galloway's hand, said cheers, and was just like, it's just started swearing, blinding, because I was just like, so no, it was good, man. It was an amazing experience, and like
the pictures are brilliant, by the way. See you with
it's funny as
like it's the Champions League.
Mate, like honestly, because I had in my head, I was like, you know, that way we like, well, how would you react? How would you react to winning an award? I have no idea. And then obviously, I always thought as well they tell you beforehand. I always thought that you know,
It seems like that at the Brits and all that, doesn't it?
like pull them to the side and be like, listen, you're gonna win. Get yourself together. Just make sure you don't make don't muck it up, basically. And don't, man. It was there and then, and I'm not saying it's like in comparative to the Brits, but I mean, in terms of your peers and the level we're at, it's the best one we could hope for. Genuinely, like, done it, and I was just swearing and blinding. So, it was amazing. And to be fair, like, I was like, I just kind of held it up because I was just like, I just want to just embrace it. One of my things, right, is that you hate to like, without sounding like a pompous idiot. Like about appreciating it while you're doing it, right? So like that thing of like living in it and like
I love it, just living it and loving it.
Because like a lot of the time, man, with this stuff is that like, especially with gigs and stuff, is you can like a lot of the time when you're younger, you get steaming and you drink and you don't really appreciate the moment that you're there, and that's fine because you look back and you're like, I had a great time, but that thing of like I wasn't drinking because I did drive, and I just remember it was just like a breath there, and being like, wow, I'm on stage and I've just won this, and it's clear, and I was just stared up at it, and I was like, wow. And then Alan took it and started shouting, the Dicks have won the SAMA Cup or something like that. We're just like, right, okay. So we all reacted slightly differently, but no, it was class. And it's funny because I got a good photo, right? They got an amazing photo of me holding the SAMA, like, yes. And then someone else took a photo just right after it, and my t-shirt flipped up in my belly. so there's an even better one where my belly's just at the bottom. It's class. Yeah. But no, man, it was an amazing experience. It's an amazing thing to have won. I think it's changed.
Last fancy through here to win that, it's nuts, isn't it?
Aye, definitely, man.
You're part of that lineage as well.
Aye, so like the Snuts, Declan Welsh and the Declan West, it's just class. It's like, aye, we're absolutely buzzing, man. Just to be included in that, like in that bracket is actually like an amazing thing for us.
See, when I seen you in the rock alternative category, I was like, they're not total rock alternative, because I hear like a lot of synths and that in the music.
Aye, I know. So it's like pop alternative's probably better, I know. Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing, man. We were rock alternative. We're rock alternative. I mean, just in terms of our music taste, you'd probably say we were, but I didn't feel like that way with Dictator that we are, which is a good thing.
Like when I first heard like Anthem of a Doom Youth and that, I was like, that's not proper rock. I was like, that's totally different to what like yourselves done with the Barrels, Zach's done with the Phantoms and that. It's totally different from anything.
Aye. The thing is as well with this is that we kind of like you're allowed to be different. So like if we tried to maybe do that with the Barrels, or they'd try to do it with the Phantoms or Japan 4, it would have been scoffed at because it's like, nah, it's no rock and roll. We're vibing, you know what I mean? Whereas with this, it's like, cool, let's try it, see it, do it. I think as well is that we always had this kind of like using triggers and synths, right? So if Alan triggers something, right, that maybe lasts 4 bars, you can't. The way that it works is that obviously for playing along with music, if you're playing just as you would normally, just purely on feel, which is amazing, and kind of just zone out, right? If he triggers something that lasts 4 bars, it has to be in perfect time. It can't just be like he triggers it, because then we have to play in kind of sync with it.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of the things that he does trigger from his sample pad is in time with, like, I mean, it's 4 bars or it's 3 bars or 2 bars, but so we have to then change how we play. We have to play to a click track. We have to play on a metronome like that. So we have to play to that, and obviously in our ears, and we're hearing that. And the hardest thing at the start was doing that and then being like, oh, how do you make that seem natural? But the reason that it's difficult, and the reason that not everybody does it, because you don't need to do it. But what it does is it lets me take this, the synth in that, and turn that into triggers for Alan that we can still play live without relying fully on like a backing track. He can trigger stuff in a song we wouldn't have access to. So even just daft things, like if we were to suddenly put strings in a song, I say suddenly, we probably will, wouldn't put it past us. But if we were to put strings in a song, I kind of go and get a string quartet, right? Now I could play the keys live and do the string quartet, right? But I can only really play one. Like I can only, like, you know what I mean? So like either we get like 4 keyboardists to come along and play 4 different parts, But I could play one part and then Alan could trigger another 3 at the same time as me, right?
Yeah, of course.
And like for me, it's like that thing of like, oh, well, it's no live, and it's like, no, it's no, but like, you know what I mean?
It's part of the performance.
But if we could afford a string quartet, we'd have a string quartet. We can't, because like if you're playing Sneaky Pete's, like if we had a string quartet, we'd be in the crowd just watching it.
There wouldn't be space on stage at all for you.
Exactly, man. But it's stuff, things like that, because then it's like, no, but there is musicianship there, because we are having to trigger it, we are having to play it live, we're having to do it. But like, and we're not just like playing a CD, like, sitting there pretending. It's not like we're pretending. It's just, it's a different kind of style of musicianship than we would have done previously. We're still all playing guitars, we're still all playing keys, we're still doing things, but what it lets me do, because I write all the songs and the parts, like, well, not all parts, they obviously write their own, but
I know what you mean.
I could, in theory, have 7 synth voices playing at the same time, and I could pick and choose which one I wanted to play, because I couldn't play all 7. But that's not limiting. If you come along and see someone where you're able to do that suddenly Alan's sample pad is capable of playing those sounds, amazing. Like, we have 808s that we use. Alan has on his sample pad, I think there's like 6 squares or 8 squares that he hits. Each one of those is a note. So now I've got a backup keyboardist, right? And I think that's amazing. But back in the day,
develops everything, doesn't it?
Aye, because then all of a sudden he could literally do like a wee gong or that if he wanted. Like, he could. Whereas we wouldn't have to get a big huge gong. I could program it to his pad and say, like, there you are. And then he still gets to play it, still gets to do it, but we've got an unlimited kind of bank of voices and parts we can do. And that's the main point. I know we've kind of drifted off the original thing, but
no, it's fine. I was actually, it's part of the plan to go into that, because I'm so interested, because you all come from sort of indie rock backgrounds and the sound's so different to sort of what's out there just now.
Aye, and I think that's the main thing, is I'm sitting there going like, well, now all of a sudden we have access to that, and we had access to it previously, but we can tap into it a lot more. But we're now different. We're different musicians now.
Yeah.
So like now we get the chance to go and play. Like we get to go and play live, and it's like, but although we can play to a click track now, and we don't care about it at all. One of the, but like you won't even know that we're playing to a click track. I don't play a click track all the time, right? But it's just that thing of like, the hardest thing is making it seem natural. And so then all of a sudden, if you can make it look a wee bit natural, you're like, right, okay, now it unlocks, like, so for this song, if you're in a studio and they say, what about adding this? You no longer have to go, well, we can't really recreate that live, and it wouldn't really sound the same. Suddenly it's like, well, yeah, if you want to add 808s, we can recreate that live. Like, if you want to, so it's class, man. I really do enjoy it, but I think that's what's forced us to now, all the stuff that maybe we would have passed off previously, we're just going in with a lot more of an open mind. So we're able to jump in and be like, right, cool. And like for songwriting and stuff like that, you didn't feel that you have to write songs the same way, with the same stuff. And a lot of the stuff comes from the keyboard now, and it's the guitar. And no doubt in like a year and a half's time, it will all go back to guitar again. And then, you know what I mean? But then from that guitar,
it's brilliant.
So it just gives us a lot more like scope of what we can do.
Like, I look at, like, if you've seen the Noel Gallagher's third album he done with David Holmes, that's totally different to what anything he's ever done. Like, he was writing for a rock band, and now he's just, like, I seen him on that third tour, and I was like, wow, like, it's totally different to what, and I love it. It's got like dance and all that in it.
Aye, but I think that's the thing, man, is that he can, and that's the like our main inspiration for this was Gorillaz. Gorillaz are like a band, and the thing is, there's a lot of, like, listen to the latest Gorillaz album. It just seems a bit like I don't know. It's just a bit sad, right? And I'm like, that's
the one like Melancholy Hill and that on it.
No. That's like, I think that's 2 albums ago, man. It's like that album was a good album. I'm not saying that the new album's a bad album, because it's not. It's just that, like, he went over to Iceland and wrote it, and it's just a completely different vibe, man, right? It's very like sitting at piano and just reflective, and that's fine. People like that, but for me, I want to be like that. And like, that's not the intention with this. The intention is to be collaborative. So when we see Gorillaz as and that's the thing, like, because you cite your like who your references are, and you only reference the good parts of the stuff you like. You don't have to reference the bad parts. And
No,
for me,
exactly.
you know what I mean? So like for me, I'm looking at the citing them as a reference and being like, right, cool. See, for Gorillaz, I love the fact that they do a lot of collaboration. So like,
Yeah,
but my thing is that I feel that you do need to work your way up to a certain level. Like, greatest of respect to us, but if you imagine another band, one of our peers, you might love, but say no one had really heard of them, how interested are they going to be in like, oh, a Dictator and another band mashup, or like, oh,
yeah.
it's a singer for such and such? That still happens at that stage, and it's amazing. But it
Because you
doesn't.
said your thing with Volker.
Yeah, aye.
You've done each other's songs. I absolutely loved it.
But see, like, and that's amazing, and like, but you know us, and then like
Yeah,
we,
of
and
course.
then there's people who don't know us, and like Volker fans are like, who's that? And it's not a cup of tea, and that's fine. But like, I feel that like, see if you work up to a certain level, that actually you could pluck people who are just like randomly like kind of on the. You imagine Brooke Combe and Luke LaVope, right?
Oh,
Aye, but you know what I
that'd
mean.
be filthy.
But like if they two done a song together, right? You'd be like, oh, what? You'd be so interested. You'd be invested in. And it's not to say that anybody who's up and coming, but I wouldn't class ourselves as there yet, right? As in like
Yeah,
stage, because they're at a different part of their journey, and it's class and it's amazing, and we don't have to compare or even go on the same trajectory. It's just. And that's what I mean, is that we want to be really collaborative. We want to prove that we can do loads of different songs, prove that we have all that in our arsenal, but also keep testing ourselves to say, well, is this, do we need to get better at this? Do we need to do that? So that, see, when the time comes, maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, if we're sitting there and it's like, listen, Stormzy wants to do one of the numbers on the track, happy days. We can go and do that, and we don't go, oh my God, we need to do it. It's just to be that kind of, not to cross genres of that, it's just your genre being open to kind of everybody, so that actually you could have Dictator featuring all these different people, and then suddenly you could get the pick of the thing. And that for us is really, that we're really interested in that, because like it's really sad to think of like the long term of like music. You know what I mean? Like it's
no,
not,
of course, because everything's very short term
kind of
in music.
aye, but like we're no stupid, and like for us, we're like, well, how do you watch? Like, being realistic, you're sitting there rock and roll. Like, I mean, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, like, you get when you're younger, you're like, yes. And then older you get, you're like, how's family life? You know what I mean? Like, genuinely, you sit there, you're like, well, it'd be nice to raise a family and have a stable job and a stable life. Like, that would be nice. And
Yeah,
music doesn't always offer that. And a lot of the time when we've met people, maybe idols who have fallen on kind of down a path, you're like, it's a shame, because it turns you off, and you kind of relinquish, you're like, I don't want anything to do with that. I'm not going anywhere near that. And then you realise that there's always a kind of thing of like a choice, and you sit there and go, right, well, actually, if you did that, if you became like a studio, if you were able to produce songs with other people, imagine you got a studio on the Central Belt. That's no longer you know what I mean? If you're a 20-minute drive from your studio and you treat it as a Monday to Friday 9 till 5, suddenly you're getting to do what you love. You're getting to go and still go on tour when you choose. But then imagine being able to work with loads of different people. And then actually you're not having to worry about flying to LA or that. You're like, cool, that's the dream. You know what I mean? That's what we want.
It's that saying, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly it.
It's obviously the dream for you guys to eventually be able to kick the full-time jobs and, go full-time with music.
That's exactly it.
And
aye.
go on tour yourselves and all that.
Aye. Not in a stupid way. We don't want to like get given a big chunk of money and then leave our jobs. It's not what we're after. It's not what we want to do. It's not what we've ever wanted to do. And like that is the dream for a lot of people, and there's a lot of benefit to it. But even becoming like huge big celebrities, right? It's not saying that we're gonna, right? But imagine how shite that would be, right? Like, in all honesty, imagine being Ed Sheeran, right? And I'm not I'm not trying to compare or say that's, but like, imagine being Ed Sheeran, man. Imagine going down to the pub for a pint, or going out to the shop to grab yourself a burger, like, or like even just getting stuff delivered, like, oh, that's such and such is this, and all that. And I don't know, when you're younger, you're like, that's amazing. You get mansions, you get live this life, and then you're like, actually, it doesn't sound that good, man. It doesn't sound that good, because you didn't need privacy of that. And like even Lewis Capaldi, man, wherever he goes, folk coming up to you and doing all that. Yeah, it's so crazy to think though, and I don't think you would ever really appreciate it until you were in that, until you were there. And for us, do you want that? Do you want that?
It's like last January, right? I was at a charity do in Craigshill, at the Tower, and Lucy's brother Warren was playing. And on the same day, what was Lucy's last number one?
I can't mind the last one he released.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, that was a total, like, difference. Lewis couldn't walk into the Tower and stand and have a chat with, like, the boys.
Aye.
And Warren was standing, like, having a blather and, like, just chilling. I couldn't imagine being, like, known in that.
I know. That's the thing.
I find it pretty hard myself.
Aye. But that's like, and I know that's like, I didn't want to be like presumptuous to like go like, oh yeah, like wins one Sama. I said I just trying to what you mean. Fame. No, but see, the genuinely though, but like that's one of the things that you look at and you go like, cool. What is your genuine goal here? Like, is it to sell numbers? Is it to sell out like Hamden? Is it to sell like, look at Jerry Cinnamon, like doing all the stuff he's doing? He's actually one of our kind of idols for how he's done music himself. So like how he manages it, how he's not signed to like any majors, and how he coordinates his tours and stuff like that. He is our blueprint for success. Genuinely, what we deem as success for music. He's not
he's a ledge.
You wouldn't go to America, go to LA, and suddenly everybody knows who he is, right? Lucy Capaldi would, because like he's like a proper worldwide celebrity. But Jerry Cinnamon is living the dream. He is selling out tours. He is playing to thousands and thousands of people. He's making decent money from it. He's getting to pick and choose who he works with and what he does. That's our goal. That's what we want, regardless of anything else. That's our goal. That's what we want to try and do.
And obviously being signed to Black Hole Records, which sounded like it took a while to
6
get
months.
over the.
Aye.
Like obviously everybody's like congratulating you that, and I'd seen a podcast you done before with Derek Watson the other week, and I was like, wow, that took like 6 months. You must have been literally going, just get us signed, come on.
Aye.
Like obviously so grateful to be signed and buzzing and that, but it's a 6 month. People don't realise that it's going to lawyers and getting everything sorted and
honestly
forever looking through everything.
And like the thing for me is that like it's amazing though. It's a really, really positive thing. Right? It is really positive, and like it's an amazing thing. We're really incredibly lucky to have that, right? So that I never wanted to be misconstrued that we're not in any way thankful, and I know that's not.
Oh no.
Think that, but it's still. I hate talking about it as a negative thing because it's not. It's all positive. But it was just that kind of knee jerk of the minute that you find out that you're like everybody finds out that you've been signed, and then they congratulate you, and you're sitting there going like, I've been doing this for 6 months.
I think I put about 5 messages on Twitter.
If I'm honest, it's like that way. You're like, if I'm honest, I didn't really want to talk about it, like because that's all I've been talking about for 6 months. So then when people tell you, you're like, aye, and they're like, must be buzzing. I'm like, I am buzzing, but like I think I was buzzing 3 or 4 months ago and then now I'm kind of used to it, and then now you're finding out I'm buzzing that you're buzzing. But yeah, so but I mean, it was an amazing thing. The amount of messages we got, people I went to school with and like I've not spoken to in ages, and they're just like, oh, like congrats and stuff like that. It's good to see you doing well, and you can't not be thankful for that. You know what I mean? Like even at the scale that we got it, it's amazing.
Like it was brilliant to see. Like I remember just seeing the notification like announcement pending. I was like, have they been signed?
Aye.
I remember saying to like my missus Carla, I was like, I think they've been signed. I mean, it's just seeing that it was the emoji.
Aye.
There's a certain emoji. I was like, I think they've been signed. I was like, I could be talking absolute nonsense here. And I seen it, I think I jumped about myself.
Aye,
buzzing, so I was like, absolutely buzzing.
It's class.
And I thought, I was like, here come like everything they've worked for through lockdown. Like, he's one of the hardest working bands during lockdown doing stuff on Instagram.
I know, content, man. And I think I've actually taken a bit of a back seat to the content recently because, like, so but again, it's one of those things where, like, when we first went into lockdown, everything was kind of settled. So, like, everything was just like work and stuff like that and all that. Whereas during the lockdown, I was lucky enough to keep working. So again, like my routine didn't really go. But in the last 10 months, we've moved house and. So like I've got engaged and stuff like that, and like a lot changed. Changed. Actually, it's taken a while to get back to that kind of balance of like just the routine of doing it. But there was a reason why we moved last year, not this year, because I thought, well, see if I can 2021. If I do that, I know it completely messes up your routine and your life and your balance for a while, and then kind of move into it, and you kind of get into it, and then you get into a groove, and then suddenly we have a completely kind of stable foundation, which is good. So like only now am I starting to, because what I do is I don't like to be on social media a lot anyway. Like I do every now and then, but I don't think it's particularly healthy to be on it. And I find sometimes when you get right into doing content, you're constantly looking for ideas and stuff like that, but you can tell when you can't be bothered, and you didn't want to have.
You're putting out tweets or putting up Instagram stories, and you're like, that's full of
nonsense.
Nonsense, and you're just like, okay, what? That app's getting deleted for a week or whatever.
That's what I kind of done. I just took a bit back seat, because then he was like, I'll just take a break, fine. Still go on it and stuff like that, but like only now I'm starting to get more into it. I'm more kind of ready to like, right, okay, to actually get back into it and do the content. But there's a reason, because we've got a lot of content ideas now, because we've taken a bit of time and saying like, right, how do we want to do this? Because we've got loads of things happening this year, and last year we were kind of just free. The first one during the lockdown was amazing, because it was just like off the cuff, see what happens. We had like 200 followers of that. We're like, we'll see what happens. Don't really care. If you say the wrong thing, you didn't care. Not that like, but now you're like 13, 1400, 1500, whatever it is. It's not that many, but you think the difference between what you would say to 200 folk versus what you would say to 1200 folk.
You'd say 15, exactly.
You're like, because in a lot of the patter and stuff, like the fun, what you would deem as funny, some people might not find as funny, and you annoyingly become a lot more aware of like what's sensitive and what's not, and you come out a lot more appreciative of it though. But it's still, so yeah, but we worked really hard, and for us, like the biggest, hardest thing for us is that because we were back to playing shows, that was the intensive part, especially like the tail end of last year. It's like 2 or 3 nights a week, which it's not the worst, but it was like 2 or 3 hours a time, probably 3 hours a time. So when you're doing that,
working full-time job, and
so you're just kind of like, you do that, it's very difficult, and obviously they all got canned anyway, but it is what it is. But so it's anyway, but we're back, we're refreshed, we've had a few weeks off as well, which has been good, and now we're ready, and we've got a lot of things happening in 2022, so
like I remember coming out of lockdown, and you had announced the gig at Shout, the Scotland thing, and I was there, and I was like, it was a last minute buying the ticket, because I was like unsure how everything would be pre-pandemic. And I think I'd like bumped into like Joe. I was like, what's it like? And they'd have been, oh, you'll be fine. I went, just come in, have a couple of beers and that. And I was like, right, cool. And I was buzzing. So the sound was amazing. I thought it was actually going to be a full band thing, and it was just you and the keyboard. And I was like, wow, like stripped back.
That was the
thing. That's my favourite sort of gig. I've got like a thing for loving it.
I still want to do those things. I still want to do those gigs regardless, and like because like the thing with me is right is that it's a lot of pressure on you though to do it. So like you have to. I say pressure. I have to stop saying stuff like that, because it's no pressure.
No, I think pressure's a good thing. Pressure can make you perform to a better standard.
It is. But the thing is that like there's a lot of prep goes into that, and like obviously the rest of the boys, like it's one of those things where like Zach does a lot of the management and stuff of the band, right? But you end up going like if you're in the middle of doing everything, and then he's busy doing band stuff, and like he sees us no doing the band stuff, he's like, I'm doing all that band stuff as well, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's really easy, and that's the same with those gigs where you're kind of sitting in the middle of it going like, I hate to go and prepare a show here. No use. Me, I need to go and prepare this. I need to practice every night. I need to figure out how I'm going to play it, how I'm going to do all the running order and stuff. But it's good, it's enjoyable, and that's the thing is I don't want to use pressure, because it's not. It's just that you need to take it a wee bit more serious, which is good, because it does kind of force you to do that. But I love those types of gigs where you can just play 50 folk or that, talk away. I like talking, I like the sound of my own voice. So like when you come along and we play,
you were cracking the jokes as well that night.
I can't even remember what I was saying. It probably wasn't funny, but
it was just like off the cuff, like people making comments, and obviously did the interview before that. And
it was good. It was a good night, man. So no, I really enjoyed that, and it's a shame we couldn't get back to full band, but you know what I mean.
I know, and I remember that night I bought tickets for what was going to be
stereo.
Was it broadcast originally, and it was when me and my miss had tickets for the Crooks the same night. And I was like, listen, this is up to you. I was like, I want you to go and see Dictator. I was like, I know you love the Crooks. You started singing. And she just looked at me and she went,
let's go and see them.
She's like, that voice is thing. I went, I've been trying to tell you, everyone from West Lothian's got like a particular way of singing.
Aye.
Mikey's got this way, Luke, Lewis, Jack. I was like, you've not really heard like the Big Bees or Dead Sea Souls, because she comes from Greenock, so there's like a long list of like backlogs. She was just like, wow, she's like unbelievable. I don't know if you remember the comment that she said to you, and I was like, I forced her to say that to you. I was like, you've got to say that to him. He will love that.
I know, it's so weird though, man. It's weird taking compliments, but it's amazing. I'm glad she enjoyed it, man. But it's just nice.
She's hooked too. She was absolutely hooked.
Yes, that's what we want.
I was like, no, like she loves like the snuts and that, and I was like, there's one band you've not heard of yet though.
One band.
No, it was used. Right, and I was like, stick them on Spotify in the motor.
See what you think.
She played them all the way up, and I was like, listen, we're going to see them tonight.
Aye.
And she was like, what? And I was like, quickly get changed. We're going back out.
Come on, we're gone.
And obviously, come for that, you sell out stereo in, what was it, 2-3 months in advance.
Aye, so we sold out broadcast really quickly. We got loads of messages. So then we were like, can we upgrade it? And we could. We did. Stereo, and then we're like, right. Stereo was a bit of a jump though, and we were like, fine, it was like an extra 150 or something. So we're like, we'll see. Then that sold out. And we're like, amazing. Like, this class. Like, see what happened. We obviously announced it and that, and it was amazing. But then, obviously, because of COVID, we had to pull the gig.
Unfortunately, Alan got COVID. You all had to isolate because of the rules. And
aye, so we obviously were. I was down in. We found out we were on the way to.
You're down in London now.
Aye. So I was down in London. We had to play a gig. We were playing a gig in Dunfermline. With Moonlight Zoo, I believe, and so we're all ready for that. Again, found myself in a position where I had to get home by a certain time, and I was like, why have I done this again? But I was
thinking that.
I was like, right. So I had to basically fly up and stuff, but then we found out Alan had tested positive, and he was really poorly with it as well. And we were just like, oh no, because then the rules were obviously you couldn't, because of the restrictions for us having to isolate, we couldn't then play. You had to go and get a PCR and prove you were negative and stuff like that. And anyway, man, it is what it is. But that gig got cancelled, and then Stereo got cancelled, and we were intensely practicing for that. And we were so ready for it. We were primed. But yeah, kind of a blow. But I mean, the thing is that even if Alan hadn't got it, like there's a good chance one of us probably would have before the gig, because I have so many people had it.
It was rife at the point.
And
that week it was so rife. Everyone was coming down with it.
We maybe would have pulled the show anyway. A lot of people pulled the show because it was just seen as a bit reckless to be having people there. So although the government advice was to...
Ocean Colour Scene were doing 3 or 4 nights at the Barrows, and they pulled their gig. Dylan John Thomas got COVID.
Aye.
And I was like, I think they would have probably pulled the show anyway.
We would have, man. So like, I'm actually glad that we kind of got forced to, but we got to do it with enough notice. People were traveling from like Ireland and stuff like that, and we were able to say a week and a half before, by the way, this isn't happening, so you can go and reschedule. We've had this like, it's just brutal though, man. And since then, we've been trying to reschedule. So like right now, we're trying to figure out the best date, because like the first date that we got offered was tomorrow, 8th of January. And we were like, oh, like, so like instantly when we were like, right, we can go and do the 8th of January. And then that day there was an announcement saying that from the 27th, all of the events were going to be cancelled. And we were like,
yeah.
So we're like, well, we can't do the 8th of January. We can't do that. And then we were like, okay, let's do, and then like for then on in, it was just a backlog. And now it's like, we're like, well, now we can't do January because of these reasons. And then it was like, right, well, February. So we're thinking maybe the end of February, that may be good. But if you can't get the end of February, I think the next available date's like April. And
Mikey, just to say, my birthday's at the end of February, so it'll be absolutely smashing and coincide with the Las Vegas support.
Aye, well, that's exactly it. So we're thinking, right, but again, we'll see what happens, man, and we're not wanting to be too again presumptuous with that, because we can't be raging at the situation. We don't know what's going to happen. What we'll probably do is aim for the end of February, try and get that date right, and everybody will understand. But what we'll probably do is hold off until we know for sure. Like obviously give as much notice as possible. Like
of course,
minimum a month, but. It's annoying having to update folk in that, and like, I mean, saying like, listen, there isn't an update because we're emailing back and forth. Everybody was off over Christmas, so they take the first week of January off as well, and we're sitting there emailing, can we get this date, can we get that date, and yeah. So, but again, hopefully we get it rescheduled soon. Then it lets us move on to the next kind of thing, next load of.
And obviously, fans of the band will know you've got Newcastle, London and Manchester booked through Dan Potter, who's unbelievable on Twitter.
He's a good guy.
He's quality, man.
He's a good guy, good at golf as well. So we're doing Newcastle, we're doing Manchester, and we're doing London, as you say. I think what we're going to do is we start in London. So we start in London, we go up to Manchester, and then we finish off in Newcastle. And that's the April the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So April's going to be a good month anyway. And obviously, as you said, we've got Las Vegas. So we're supporting Las Vegas at SWG.
I already had tickets for it, yeah.
Did you? Nice.
I already had tickets for it, and then you announced that. And I was like, that's a week of my birthday. Paul Craig, you unbelievable guy, you got me tickets for that 2 years ago. So I'm like, SWG free, never been to the venue in my life.
Me neither. First time I'm going to be there, I'm going to be playing it. And I'm like, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Brilliant. And obviously, you've sold out Sneaky Pete's. That was sold out, middle of December?
Aye, so we
2-3 months in advance as well.
That's the 12th of February, so that's 4 a bit weeks away. And yeah, hopefully that can still go ahead. Thing with Sneaky Pete's though, right, is that it will, because it's a much smaller crowd. Because we can only get a capacity like 120, I think, max, maybe even 100. However, I'm sitting there going like, right, we'll see. Then it would be, we'll see. Then it would say anything. But February's got the chance of being an amazing month for us, because it might actually be with Sneakies. We might have, we'll definitely have the Las Vegas support, and then we might have Stereo if it gets rescheduled for then. If not, we'll see. But it'll be amazing. There's a lot of good gigs there. And for things like, hopefully we can kind of get, because obviously this time we want to try and get some festivals and all that sort of stuff as well. So we'll see.
It'd be good to, obviously Transmit have already sorted most of their bands, but they always do a last chunk of bands. So fingers crossed, yourselves, Sharpie and that, and just get that last push on.
Definitely, man, that would be phenomenal. See if we could. The thing is, right, it's just like you have to be prepared, you have to be ready for that
to go.
Because we had a gig last year. We went down to support the Ratings in Newcastle. We weren't ready, but we done it, and we were all right, but we weren't the best. And it's like you don't want to let yourself down like that. You don't want to be unprepared. So that for this, the good thing is we had 2 or 3 weeks off because we had to, right? So there was a lot of people who were close contacts. Like Zach was a close contact. Had to from negative. We had supposed to be in the studio over Christmas. All got cancelled because of COVID. So again, we weren't in the best of moods when we were sitting there. The gig got cancelled. All our studio days got cancelled. They've thankfully all been rescheduled and stuff. And then for this coming into this, it's like we are only 3 weeks out, but we've still got such a good handle on the set. So we've got a full set. It's all good to go.
Yeah.
We're ready for Sneaky Pete's, and it's like that thing of now we don't need to. We were because of the ratings, we brought ourselves right up to the point again where it was like we need to practice at any given moment all the time, and then now it's like, right, we're sharp. We just need to get sharper and make sure that this is our set at any given time. So yeah.
I compare it's kind of weird. I compare being in a band to being a boxer. Aye. You go into camp for the boxing, so you're match fit, and always sort of, last minute things can happen. You can get, boxers can get fights at last minutes. And so
that's what we were like. The thing is, it's like a camp to go for a fight if you're a boxer, right? Originally, but then after the fight, the difference is that ideally you want to be like a footballer then. So what you want to be doing is you just want to be doing light training all the time. Aye. And kind of getting recovery and just making sure that fine, so that you're ready for the following week or the following thing. And so then that's where we have went through that intensive 2 to 3 months of we have practiced so much, have so many things ready, things people haven't heard and stuff, and we're can't wait to go and start playing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then now it's just a case of keeping it up. And the best thing is having a big pool of songs now. We're bear in mind our last couple of gigs, we've not played many gigs. We're starting with 5 or 6 songs. And saying here's our songs, see what you think. We've released all those. Now it's now we've got a big pool of maybe 15 to 20 that we're right, what do we do here? And so suddenly you could actually find yourself playing a different set every week. And that's class. We get offered 20, 30 minute sets, and it's well, if it's a 30 minute set, we'll play Days Gone By. If it's a 20 minute set, if we still want to play Days Gone By, we need to maybe drop another 2 songs. And it's just try to find out. So
no, I totally get it. It's
class.
Sort of watching it for the outside, it's mental, and sort of knew you for a bit. I've knew Joe for a bit, sort of having talks like what it's like. I'm like, this is just absolute metal.
It's cool,
like,
man.
I'm not talented musically at all. Always wish I could be.
Aye.
No got it at all. So when I'm like seeing like people play, I'm like, right, what's all that about?
Yeah.
Like, how do you just get yourself to there and that and
no idea.
Getting there, yeah.
I've
no idea how it goes on, but you see sort of bands go for like there all the way to there, and like you were at the Snuts at the Barrowlands.
Aye.
And like I remember seeing them, at Club Earth when Zach was doing the Sunday sessions.
I was there. I was doing the open mic that night, mate.
Oh,
I was hosting it.
Oh, so you were.
No, but I know exactly what you mean then.
Like you're seeing them go for there to there, and I'm sort of stand going, I can see other bands I know there.
Aye. Well, it makes
visualising it.
Yeah, you're sitting there going, this is class, and like you realise how and stuff, and like you're sitting there going like cool, and like hopefully like one day we will play the Barras, and it's like be amazing. Like, you know what I mean? And we didn't. That's the thing. Like we didn't want to be. We were not really want to support anyone there. We want to play it. We play it. Time we play it when we're doing it ourselves. You know what I mean? So
you just want to leave that one because I think they've done the same. They'd never like played the Barras. They were like, no, if we're going to play that, that's going to be ours.
Aye. Yeah.
But no, it's going to be a mad year for you.
Fingers crossed, man. Got a lot coming up, so hopefully it goes well.
Not got much left, Mikey. I'm aware you're just down for work, so I can almost like get in, get a scran and chill out and enjoy the weekend.
Go to the gym.
Go to the gym?
I'm going to the gym, Gonna go to the gym, get a wee sauna in the steam room after it.
Quality. It's just the last sort of couple of questions. We're talking about collaborations. What would be like sort of, let's just say, top 3 collaborations, dream collaborations, people to work with?
So for me, it changes all the time. Dream collaborations, I'd probably want to go with someone who's like an out and out songwriter, right? Just to see, like, because I like writing songs, and I think it would just be amazing to like go and work with someone. The issue is that like just how your style is versus how their style is might be different. And I always thought Damon Albarn would be one of the guys.
That'd be pretty cool.
Aye, I think he's got a lot there. That'd be, but like what I'd love Damon Albarn to do is to be like a producer. So just be like, maybe could you do that? Could you do this? I think that would be amazing. So he's probably
work on your song, will you?
Aye, and he's probably in my top 3. I think on top of that, it'd probably be like a female act, right? And I say I don't know if like like Haim the band.
Yeah.
Like so, I think something like that would be amazing.
She's got an unbelievable voice.
Aye, but like the 3 of them, I just think would be like class to like see if you can go and work and collaborate with them and be like, what's the thoughts? I'm going to say them. Lastly, probably a rapper. I think, and I'll do a nod because he also won a SAMA. There's a rapper in Glasgow called Bems.
He's the boy.
He is the boy. He supported the Snuts as well.
I'm
going to say Bems. He would be.
That's one of the things I could see happening. Sort of used to.
Aye, just doing something. Fingers crossed, man. But we've got aye. So I'm going to say Bems as number 3 or number 1 in my top 3. Sorry, there you go.
Doesn't need to be in order.
Exactly. Good.
Does not need to be in order. Just because I see what he's done with Elephants.
Aye.
And when he goes on stage, and I'm going, it's the B-side we didn't know we needed, but we need.
Aye, exactly.
So just overall, Mikey, just yourself, who's like your biggest influence on music? Even when you're in the barrels, and then obviously now you've got yourself now.
So I'll be honest, it changes. And I used to think this was like a bad thing, but it's actually a really good thing because you obviously change yourself, didn't you? So like if you were just stubbornly sticking to someone for the sake of it. When I was in the Barrels, Julian Casablancas used to be a big, so the lead singer of the Strokes. He was like one of my influences. Then it was like everybody was influenced by Alex Turner as well. I think now, like I'm actually kind of trying to figure out who who is my main influence, because like a lot of the time, like everybody hates Coldplay as well, right? So like, see,
I'm not having Coldplay
you'll
hate.
have it, nah.
I'm not having it. I think they're amazing live.
Oh, do you? Right, okay. I thought you
I
meant
think they're
like
amazing. No, I'm not having any of the hate for them.
So see, like I remember with Coldplay. So Alan hates Coldplay, like hates them, right? But I like my thing is I'm like, there's some stuff they do that actually, like Chris Martin, right, walking about.
He's
he
a
gets
genius.
photographed in London. No, but he gets photographed in London, and he's walking about in his bare feet so he can feel closer to the earth, right? And I'm like, right, okay. Sometimes I get it, right? sometimes I'm like, aye, that's annoying. He's not like a musical influence, but what they've done is amazing, and like hearing how they tour and stuff with their families, it's amazing. Recently, Alan read Dave Grohl's book, and they're actually, how they do it with the Foo Fighters is again now part of like that's something that's so like. There's elements of everyone. I don't have an out and out person who I'm like, this is who I want to be like. Like even listening to Noel Gallagher is amazing, but a lot of Noel Gallagher I listen to, I'm like, I don't know I don't like him. I don't like him as a person. I'm like, I don't.
Neither do I anymore.
I mean, and I'm like, it's a real shame because that's just how he gets off in that. But I don't know, man. I'm just gonna. I think I'm slowly but surely learning and taking everyone who I do like with a pinch of salt. Right now, the flavour of the month for me is the Glass Animals lead singer. I think he's Dave Bailey. He's probably right now my number one inspiration in music, purely because he produces and records pretty much all of the Glass Animals albums. And I would be lying if I would be lying if I said I didn't want to do that, because that's something that I personally would like to do. I don't just want to turn up, play my guitar, and be like done. I want to actually know how it works, and so I'd probably say that.
No, that's cool. It's like for myself, I was like Liam Gallagher, growing up, Liam Gallagher, but I've sort of ventured off into different. Now my flavour's Pete Doherty and his solo stuff. I just
getting right into that.
Absolutely obsessed with him. This is just a general question. Probably the best gigs you've attended. Like, say top 3. No in order, because that's hard as anything. It probably changes all the time.
It does, probably first year at T in the Park, right? First year at T in the Park was 2009. I think Arctic Monkeys were playing that year. I'm going to just check.
2009. No, they're 2011.
Were they?
And they were 2009.
It was Kings of Leon and the Killers. Kings of Leon, the Killers, Blur, Franz Ferdinand, Glass Vegas, Paolo Nutini, Calvin Harris. That was my first year
lineup
at a festival, and probably that'll be one of my top ever gigs I've ever been to in my life. And it was tremendous. Really, really enjoyed it. One of the coolest things like just you've ever been to. So that'd be number 1, right? Just because that was where you get the buzz. Number 2, I'm probably going to go nostalgic here, right? So not actually as a show, but I went to my first ever gig was Calvin Harris at the Liquid Rooms, right? And so while he was doing, the Acceptable in the 80s stuff.
Oh, you're so lucky, man.
So we've done
jealous beyond belief.
Right, so he just released I Created Disco, right?
Is that his debut album?
Aye. So and I think I'd just turned 16, so I was allowed to go. I'd been to over 14 things, but it wasn't my actual first ever gig. Went with my sister and my brother-in-law who picked me up for Carlisle. It was Calvin Harris, I Created Disco tour at the Liquid Rooms. So it was like Acceptable in the 80s, the girls and all that. It was amazing. So I'd probably say that. And then third, probably the Glass Animals recently. So their stage show is the best stage show I've ever seen in my life. And that's something that we as a band want to have when we can afford it. So we put a lot of emphasis on they had pyramids and stuff and hanging motel signs.
Did you have that on your Instagram by chance?
Probably, I would. And they had hanging motel signs, the fluorescent red hotel sign with an arrow.
Yeah.
Had that, but instead of it just being fluorescent red, it was everything was LED. So like it had everything, and so like they were able to control the color of everything and change it, and it made they had like a full podium that they stood on, and it had like a swimming pool, like a wee thing, the diving board and that out into the crowd. It's
Cool.
so cool. It was one of
That's
the
cool,
coolest
man.
things I've ever seen, and so that for me, that gig that we were at, we were sitting at it where we were, and like, there was a point where they were playing Heat Waves, which done really well off their album and that. You just looked around and there was just these like old people, young people, guys, lasses, just completely zoned out, just like having the time of their life, dancing, no caring. And I was just like, this is one of the coolest things, because it wasn't aggressive chucking beer. No, it's because there's a lot of time for that. And actually the other two gigs that I've mentioned are that. Like, you know, I mean, everybody near enough ready to fight. Wasn't it that? It was just complete and utter just
A chilled
just
atmosphere.
vibing. And I'm like, see, this is that was one of the favourite gigs I've ever been to, because I was actually, that gave me the kind of hang of like, oh, this is possible for you, for us, this is the type of music we could make, where actually you didn't need to be like a mad indie band, and that's fine. So yeah, that's my free.
That's quality. No, I've not got into them, so I can't comment on their music, but seeing like things on like Instagram and Twitter, and I'm like, nah, they're cool. They're proper cool. What's the one song you'd love to cover? Make your own.
What would we like to make our own? That's a good question, because I've never really given it much thought. I guess
I liked your cover of the Billie Eilish Shout, by the way. That was brilliant.
So like that's a like, I like doing that one. It means a lot as well, that song as well, which is nice to sing. But I think for me, it depends, because like, so Sweet Dreams, right? Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics, or by Eurythmics. That's a song that, like, and we done a cover of that for BBC Sports Sound and that, and we only had like about 5 days to get it sorted. I think that if we done a proper version of that, we could make it sound really cool. So I'm gonna go with that, even though we have covered it. We've never done it live at a gig, but I'm gonna say that one.
So go for it. Properly take time, take it apart.
Take time, go and record it, go to a studio and do a version. I think we could come out of that with an amazing version of that song.
No, it's quality. That song's like one of the songs of my childhood. My dad loves the Eurythmics. So it's been probably a daft question. What would be your sort of, what's that one venue you're like, that's it? Is it or is it too easy to say like the Barrowlands?
So it's not the Barrowlands for me. It's not the Barrowlands. It's the Barrowlands for Zach, and probably for Alan, maybe, and maybe for Joe. I don't know. There's a couple of, I don't know, because like, so I had never been to a gig at Usher Hall, and I was like, that's amazing, but I don't think Usher Hall's there. I don't think that's kind of got my thing. I really struggle with this one, because it's normally where you've seen bands. I have the opposite of a venue, of a festival, right? And
right, that's cool.
Because like for me, like, and I know that like obviously having one place, one venue it's that, because you can do like like you can come home to it almost. You know how the American one, it's literally just went out my head.
Madison Gardens.
No. It's Coachella. That's the one.
Man, yeah.
Coachella. I'm saying it's my dream hang. I can't remember the name yet. It's because I remembered it and then started talking about the rest of it. But Coachella is my dream. See if we could play Coachella. I would be like, that's my, I don't know, that if that could encapsulate everything, like the actual festival itself.
I'd be like the zenith to play.
That's my kind of like, that's my goal, because I know how difficult it is to even get there, and it's a completely different place, and it's like, it's in America, and you look at the artists that play it, and I'm like, Coachella's probably, that's my pinnacle. Don't get me wrong, right in amongst that is Glastonbury as well. Because I think if you could play Glastonbury and Coachella, Glastonbury in the UK, because T in the Park would have been the pinnacle, but T in the Park's no more, and I don't have the same attachment to Transmit, because I love Transmit, but it's not the same as T in the Park was.
Yeah,
like Transmit's more like the one in Barcelona and that, and they're amazing festivals.
Scene.
Aye. Benny Kazim's good though, but you know the one in Madrid as well. But
is that the one Lewis played?
It would have been
Mad Sounds, I think it's called.
Aye, Mad Sounds.
Mad Sounds Festival, yeah.
But I think, Glastonbury and Coachella. There you go.
Oh, that's class. Right, I think that's everything, Mikey. I'm going to let you go and get to the gym and enjoy your sauna and that. Thanks so much for coming on. I'll stick links to the gigs and that in the description when it's up, and everything will be shared. And I'm sure I'll see you at gigs over the next couple of months. Thanks very much, Mikey.
Get a pint with you, but thanks very much for that, mate. Cheers.
Definitely, man. Thanks very much. Thanks for taking the time.
No worries.
If I stop recording.